Grand. Okay, welcome everyone to this Liberating Structures call. Today I'll be your host. My name is Jorium, and I'll be introducing a very common social technology tool, a conversation tool, discussion tool that is useful in an infinity of scenarios. But just a quick intro to the Liberating Structures call. I think most people here have been to one of those calls before. But this is a practice space. This is a call that is not about an expert showing expertise, but it's about practicing. So if you're interested in liberating structures or activities like liberating structures, this is a place that you can come and practice directly. Nobody expects it to be perfect. Nobody expects it to be polished. It is really a place for you to try new things out. And today we'll be talking about fishbowl, which is a great tool to engage large groups in conversation. 15 to 40 people is the ideal, can be a bit less, can be a bit more. But the advantage of that is that even though there is a big group in a room, the conversation can still have a lot of depth because not everybody's talking all at once. And if you have quick topics, you can go through them quickly. If you have long topics, you can spend a full hours in a single question. So this is a very powerful tool for conferences and whatnot. But just a small disclaimer, this might not be the fishbowl that you read on the Liberating Structures website. In fact, if you go on the Liberating Structures website, you will see the user experience fishbowl, which is a specific version of this technology. And I'm gonna step back and remove some rules from it. I'm gonna give you the stripped down version of the fishbowl. So if you look over there, you'll see all the rules that you'll find here, plus 2 or 3 more. So I'm giving you the vanilla version, and of course you can adapt it for your needs. You can add a little extra rules, you can add extra interactions depending on your needs. Cool. So this is a really simple way to conduct a conversation. Okay, just those 4 rules. First of all, you should propose a guiding question. If you had a look at our event page, you will see the guiding question was over there. Even though I changed it a little bit in the end, it happens. It's important to have some variation. But the facilitator generally brings not 1 guiding questions, but 3 or 4, just in case conversation gets a little slow or stale. You have more wood to add to the fire. And I guess the most marking feature of the fishbowl is the existence of an inner circle and an outer circle, and the relationship between those two. The inner circle is generally 3 to 4 people, can be 5. I wouldn't recommend 6. It starts to get a bit hectic for our purposes here. And the outer circle can be as many people as you need, even though from a point on, it starts to look like a panel rather than a conversation. That's why I put this number 40 in the other slide. And the rule is simple. The inner circle can talk, the outer circle cannot. And the idea is that the inner circle will not stay still throughout the whole fishbowl. So if you are in the outer circle and you feel like you have something to contribute to the conversation, even a question to ask, you can request to go to the inner circle. At the same time, if you are in the inner circle and you feel like you don't have much to contribute to where the conversation is, you can also consciously step back and open space for somebody else to step in. But there is this moment of negotiation. There's somebody on the outer circle can give a little signal that they're interested in going to the inner circle. And if the inner circle is full, let's say with 4 people, somebody in the inner circle will have to make a decision like, okay, it's time for me to step back. And in in-person environment, generally change chairs with whoever is requesting. So it's a very simple interaction. The only thing is that this request should happen non-verbally. So here on Zoom, we're going to use the raise hand function, for example. In person, you could just raise your hand, something very simple like that. But there is this moment of exchanging a glance and the person saying, oh, yeah, sure, come here to my chair. It's all good without a single word. It's as simple as that. Those are all the rules, nothing else. So with very few rules, you might imagine, oh, well, this doesn't require much facilitation, does it? You just set up and then give people a question and they're just gonna do the conversation by themselves. And well, it's cool. The facilitator is there, but what does it even do? That's not really true. There's a lot of facilitation in fishbowls that happen very subtly. And I'll take this opportunity here to talk about subtle facilitation just for 3 minutes, just to give you a couple of pointers and a couple of hints on how to do it. And this happens very differently if you're doing an event in person, where you will be the surikat. You will be periscoping all the time, which means that you'll be paying attention to what people are saying, but you're not really going to be looking at the people talking. You're going to be scanning the room. You're going to be looking at anybody but who's talking, because it is your job to check people's excitement, check if people are making confused faces, check if people are having strong reactions to what's being said. And whenever you see somebody who seems particularly keen or who seems particularly confused, this is the moment that you very subtly catch this person's attention. You just look right in their eyes, and you make a little gesture to invite them to the middle. You see somebody who is really disagreeing with what's being said. Perhaps this person should be in the middle. So you just will use a hand gesture, just use a head nudge to invite them to the circle. And sometimes, most times, this is all people need. A little gesture so that they feel fully invited. Sometimes just saying out loud that, hey, you're all invited to go to the middle at any point is not enough. Maybe people need just that little extra push. And of course, if conversation starts to get cold, you also put another question in the middle of the circle. But in my experience, this is rarely necessary. It's mostly about a very subtle facilitation, very subtle hand gestures to invite people in and out. But of course, online, we don't have those resources. There's no looking into each other's eyes. So this subtle facilitation happens via the chat. And the chat is a powerful tool. We often talk about the things that we lose when we go online. But here's something that we gain. In a fishbowl, there's actually two conversations happening. There's the conversation between three people in the center that is slower, that is more paced. But at the same time, there's a second conversation between the other 30-something people in the chat. And here's where the facilitator has a working space to put people in and out of the circle. You can ask more divisive questions. For example, you can ask, whoever disagrees with what we just said, would you mind stepping into the inner circle just so we have a multiplicity of opinions? And often people will. If somebody is asking something interesting in the chat and people are talking about it, you can invite that person to go to the inner circle and ask the panel about it, so that that question receives more depth. So again, you will be paying attention to what's being said, but your eyes will not be in the faces of who's talking as the facilitator. It will be in the chat, paying attention to what instigates people, what catches their attention. Cool. Now let's give it a shot. Here's a guiding question to start things off today, which is introducing liberating structures in your organization. What have you learned? So we're going to start asking you some practical questions, some real world experiences, and generally we would have invited 2 or 3 of you to start the circle. So whenever people get to a physical room, for example, the people in the inner circle already sat there. But this Liberating Structures call changed hosts last minute. We're not fully prepared. So I'm just going to be spontaneous and ask who would like to start our conversation circle today, because I'm going to use the Zoom function to pin you. And whoever else wants to join the inner circle at any point uses the raise hand function. And we're going to work like that. Do we have any initial volunteers? Oh, and let me stop this recording because now my explanations are